Hey guys, KW here. This episode deals with a personal date that I had, and for his privacy, I decided to bleep out his name. Also, go figure, on the episode about ghosting, Shilo ghosted us on recording day, so it's just me and Holly this time. But oh boy, she's got some tales to tell. Like always, You Don't Look Like Your Picture is not suitable for minors unless you just want your kids to be sad listening to a bunch of 20-somethings get rejected. This podcast is also not safe for work, very much not safe for work, but I'll leave that to you to decide. I guess if you want to blast us yelling about gross sex stuff at your workplace, I can't really stop you. And of course, we are by no means mental health professionals or sexologists, so please take our advice as some tips from friends. Tips. Anyways, let's get to ghosting. Hi guys, and welcome to You Don't Look Like Your Picture, a brief glimpse into the strange world of online dating. I'm Kate. Shit. I'm shit. I'm a shithead. Fuck. I never get these damn intros right. I'm Coda White.
You got this.
I'm Coda White.
Oh, I'm Holly West. Yeah. And I'm supportive.
I'm supportive. I'm a supportive mother. You've got this.
You've got this,
You got this, sweetie. Well, normally we're here to share our Prima strategy guides and cheat codes on how to not have online dating leave you dead in the ground. Hot tips and tricks on getting fucked. But not this but not this week. This week is kind of a sensitive and difficult topic to talk about. Ghosting. We all love it. Yeah. Fuck. Oh, boy. Okay. Holly, do you know what ghosting is?
I do, yes.
Can you give me a brief explanation?
So, ghosting is when you're dating somebody, or as we call it, quote, talking to somebody, and then either you or they just kind of vanish from their life unexpectedly with no explanation or anything.
Right.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty much. And this can go from, like, dating or friendship. So, like, somebody just stops like talking to you, no reason whatsoever, cutting you off just from all types of communication, like falling off the face of the earth. That's fuck, man. Is that like a new phenomenon? Do you think that's like a new phenomenon, or has that like been around forever? I feel like people have like ran away from other people, like try to cut ties, change their names, and like move to Mexico or some shit like that. Maybe that's like the modern day version of that.
Yeah, I feel like ghosting, it was probably harder back in the day because people were like going to war.
Mm-hmm.
And, they couldn't just text each other and know that they're being ignored, But I feel like it definitely probably happened.
I haven't had a letter from him in 2 years. What the fuck?
Maybe he's dead.
Oh, that's pretty much.
He's probably dead.
That's pretty much what happened, though, isn't it? It's like, oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, well, Johnny died. I guess we'll move on with Mark.
After researching, though, I found a couple of stories where like people would be talking to some people for a while, and then like they'd drop off, and they'd actually be worried because like after like 3 weeks they wouldn't like hear anything from them. So they like call their homes and like work just to see if they like had died.
Oh my god!
Because like they just left without notice and shit like that. So yeah, this is a good topic for this week because I got a little bit of a personal story here. Should I use his name? I don't know if he would appreciate me using his name.
Did he do something terrible?
He didn't do anything terrible. It was just, I don't know if I'm going to get a text back. So I was on Tinder and I was swiping right. One of my matches was this very, really spirited guy with like an amazing smile. He was always smiling in all of his pictures. He had like a lot of Harry Potter wands and then like a bunch of silly pictures, like a picture of his mom and stuff like that. And I thought, oh my God, this guy like looks really cool to talk to. He doesn't seem like a douchebag like a lot of the other guys that I talk on Tinder. And surprisingly, he reached out to me. He was like, yeah, which was like a first. I didn't have to like reach out to him. this is like what I wanted like a guy to do, and like he hit all the points. So he was like, why do I feel like we've met in real life? Have we, or am I nuts or something? And I said, anytime you've met a girl with a silent gay friend standing by, that was probably me. That's how I'm staying afloat here in this mysterious city. And then he says, well, Coda, I think you seem cool. Want to get together sometime and accidentally hit our head on stuff a lot. That was in my bio. He says, tall here as well. Yeah, he's like fucking 6'4", which is taller than me. I'm 6'3".
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
My brain is all scrambled up at this point from so many head hits. I'm surprised I can still read, honestly. I say, yeah, man, I'd be down to get some coffee or something. You seem pretty cool, too. I just moved here, and I'm really trying to meet new people. It's the head hits and the overabundance of legs. I have no idea what to do with all these fucking legs. Sitting in chairs is awful. And then he says, you should see me in my Prius. It simply does not make sense.
This is good banter.
Yeah,
Cute.
yeah, really cute. And then he gave me his number. Which is nice. And his Tinder set, his name was and I don't know if I'm going to use his name. I might bleep it out later. I just don't know how he's going to feel because I don't want to put him on expose. He's a really, really fucking like nice guy. So Thursday comes around and he asks if I'm into...
Wait, I have a question really quick.
Yeah, all right.
Have you guys been like texting for days at this point, or like messaging on Tinder, or?
Oh no, messaging on Tinder, and then like I tried texting him, but then like he took a little while to text back and stuff like that, like a couple of days in between, which I kind of forgot for a while. But then like one day he was just like, "Hey, sorry for my short response time. Guess I've been distracted for the past couple of days. You off today by any chance? That coffee would be awesome." And so he asked if I like Rufus Wainwright. Do you know who that is?
I want to say yes, but I can't say yes.
He's famous because like he sang Hallelujah in the Shrek soundtrack. Remember that?
Oh, rock and roll, yeah.
But, like,
how could I forget?
But like it's like really into like singer-songwriter type of guys and like kind of slow pace type of things. And apparently he was having like a concert and he wanted to see if I wanted to go. And I said, dude, that sounds thoughtful and nice, and I really appreciate the gesture, but I'd love to just have like a simple get-together over coffee and learn more about each other, because I didn't want to like push it too far.
Yeah,
like
commit to something and hate it.
Right.
Something.
Like going to like some concert with somebody that I didn't know. And keep in mind, I didn't know who was. I might have seen him like in a couple of YouTube videos, but I didn't recognize him. And we met up at a local bar. And then like he's like, hey, I have a proposition for you, and this might be weird, but I'll just let you know when I get there. And I'm like, ooh, a mystery. I'm gonna solve it like Nancy Drew. And I legitimately like texted him that. And then he gets there and like he's looking for me, and I'm like in my car, and I'm like, hey, if you're looking for me, I'm like cowering in my car. Because I was too afraid to get out of my car. And then like it was him, and he's like, he's tall in person, really nice face, has like a little bit of like fuzzy beard type of thing, really nice smile. He said like a friend of his is like inviting him to like this party or something like that. And I'm like, party? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, and I wanted to see if you wanted to go with me. I know it's kind of weird to go to a party with a stranger. It's all the way in on the other side of Los Angeles, I'm going to say. And so I said, all right, yeah, I'm willing.
Awesome.
I'm willing to go for it. I'm willing to take new chances. And so I get in his Prius, and we start talking, and we have like really good conversations about like music, what he's into. He's really into James Blake.
Nice.
He really loves musicals. He's really into he loves his family a lot, and like but like he wanted to like know more about me, and I told him a little bit about my mental health history and maybe like all the negative stuff that I probably shouldn't have said the first time. I don't know.
Wait, where did that come from? Why did you just tell him that?
I don't know why.
Story of my life.
Hey,
first date banter.
Bit of a disclaimer. I have a little bit of a mental health issue. I thought you should know. No, so I said, like, oh, well, like, I think, like, I told him, like, I usually don't do stuff like this because I have, like, an anxiety problem, and, like, depression and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get out of my box and trying to do some new stuff. And he seemed like pretty cool with that. It's like, oh yeah, that's really cool. And we talked about a lot about music. I talked about the White Stripes and how I really like Jack White, and like about like his collaboration with Beyonce on the Lemonade album, and how that song is fucking amazing. I love that song. That song's
oh
amazing.
My god, me too.
That and like the James Blake collaboration they did on the Lemonade album too. And then we talked about me being like new in LA and what I wanted to do, and we talked a little about his history. We're both like close. We both like have uncles that live nearby. They're both gay, and yeah, I really enjoyed talking with him. It was so easy to talk to this dude.
Oh, that's such a wonderful quality.
I know.
You have that.
I know.
I love that.
I have.
Yeah.
That never happens to me too. It was so nice. So like the closer we get, and he's like, okay, so this party is kind of like a sponsored party. And I'm like, a sponsored party? And he's like, yeah, I'm actually sponsored by these people. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, it's Dollar Shave Club. I run a YouTube channel and I'm sponsored by Dollar Shave Club. And I'm like, wait, what do you do? And he's like, yeah, I have a pretty big following on YouTube, stuff like that. And I'm like, oh God. And I don't know if that's like insulting if I didn't watch his stuff like too much, but like I didn't know like how big he was.
Yeah.
And at that point, I kind of didn't care because I like really liked him as a person more than the fact that like he had like
famous.
Sort of famous. I didn't like look until like I got home to see like how much of a following he had. So we get to the Dollar Shave Club thing, and like I'm like, okay, so maybe it's gonna be like a couple like small YouTube channels, stuff like that. Like, no, these are like fucking like YouTubers with like millions of subscribers that are at this like.
Oh my
thing.
God! Like who?
Like a lot of Viners. A lot of Viners came there, who like transitioned to YouTube. Do you know like the dude? His name is Chris something. I watched some of his Vines.
Leave Britney alone. That guy?
No, not that guy. He wasn't there.
Oh damn.
Have you seen that Have you seen that Vine where he's like, that is incorrect because according to the that guy.
No, I haven't, but that sounds amazing.
Yeah, or like he likes the Patricia guy. You know, like there's like a cheerleading squad that's like doing their stuff, and like some cheerleader like drops a baton, and then there's just a dude who goes, Patricia!
No, I haven't seen that.
God damn it! Yeah, so that guy was there. He was really nice.
Wow. Wait. Okay. Really quick. How long was the car ride from the coffee shop or bar that you met at to this party?
It was about an hour, about 45 minutes.
Okay. All right. Sorry, continue.
And then, like, we got to the party, and then he's like, all right, well, just hang around, have fun. And I was like, well, I might just leech off you because I don't know anybody here. And he's like, oh, okay, that's fine. So, yeah, I just kind of followed him around, got a drink, something like that. And, like, he introduced me as Coda to everybody, which, like, apparently he just really liked that name. So I guess that's my name now.
Yeah. Oh, that's cute.
Right. Everybody seemed pretty cool with me. Nobody asked what I did, though. I don't think they knew who I was. I think they knew that I was just kind of a date.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's fun to be arm candy for a night, I guess. Yeah.
Like as soon as like we get in, though, like somebody steps out and they're like, "Oh my God, I am like a huge fucking fan of your videos," and I'm like, "Oh," and then he's like, "Oh yeah, thank you very much." And I just like stare at him. I'm like, "Wait,
what's happening?
What's happening?"
Oh my God, that would be so weird. Just like the Twilight Zone on a date.
Right. And but like I kind of just put that aside, and like I was meeting like some famous like Viners and stuff like that. I wore like my 1975 t-shirt, and like a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, the 1975, I love that band." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's my favorite band." And I got some swag. I got like a little bottle of cologne. It was so funny. They were like showing off like little cologne bottle scents and stuff like that, and like little jars. And I guess I was like I was with like in line, and he was like looking at stuff like, "Yeah, I'm like a really big fan of like the 103, but I'll take a sniff of some of these." And he was sniffing them. He's like, actually I think I might try the 101. And then it gets like a slip, and then I'm like, "Wait, what's that for?" And so I like sniff them all. I'm like, "So which one's your favorite?" I'm like, "I like the the 102, and it's like, okay, here you go. You can redeem a full bottle up at the front. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's a $50 bottle of cologne.
Oh my god!
Right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and like I'm like, oh my god! And there was like free food and an open bar, and like I got to walk around the Dollar Shave Club headquarters, which is huge, by the way. They have their own like barista on staff.
What?
Right?
That is so kick-ass.
It was such a kick-ass. I had like a really good time. But
this is like the most LA date ever.
Right? Yeah, it's my first like
so funny.
Real taste of like an LA date. And then we were just talking about like Dollar Shave. I guess like he was just like talking to like the people that he like emails back and forth to for like his stuff, and I was just like standing by, just enjoying myself. And then like then they asked me if like, hey, do you want like an embroidered robe? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
Like, yeah, we have some extras left here. You could have one. And I'm like, all right. So now I have a robe, $50 bottle of cologne. And they're like, all right, when you walk out, yeah, just go grab like your little swag bag, and then that'll be it. And so I do, and it's like a fucking shit ton of like razors and like shaving stuff.
Oh,
like,
that's awesome. Oh my god.
I was like, whoa. And yeah, no, I had a lot of fun, but like I was mainly there for because like was like really cool to talk to, and like I wanted to get to know him better. And so he asked me if I wanted to go back to the bar. And I said, yeah, definitely. And like, I think it's like midnight at this point. And so we go to this bar, and like, the dude is just like, he can talk to anybody. Excuse me. He can talk to like anybody. And like, he's just so interesting to talk to. And like, people automatically like him. And he's such a likable person, like in person. And like, we got drinks, and then we like went over outside and we just talked about life and stuff like that. I think he got a little bit tipsy. He says like he has a pretty high tolerance, but I think he got a little bit tipsy. And like, and like he was like shivering too. So I kept asking him like, do you want to go inside if you feel like you're shivering? He's like, oh no, I'm fine. And we were like talking, and then I got into like how. I was just curious, and I was a little bit drunk. I asked him about like his YouTube life, and I'm like, well, what's that like? Like, it's kind of like a special thing. Like, what's that whole experience like? I was curious to know. I wasn't like the main factor about him that I was interested in, and I made sure to like tell him that. And like, he just talked about it, and it was like a really cool, cute conversation, and just like, I don't know. There were some points where, like, it didn't seem like he was kind of jarred with what I was talking about, too. I talked about, like, animation, like, what my favorite, like, films were. He's also, like, a really big gamer, and I talked about some of my favorite games, and he talked about some of his favorite games, or... I don't know. Yeah. Well, I also felt like I kind of, like, led the conversation. I felt like I kind of was too comfortable with him. Well, not too comfortable. I was, like, talking a lot. And I felt... I was afraid that I wasn't letting him talk enough.
Well, you know... It's like on first dates, everyone's nervous, you know. Someone's gonna like be the chatty one. I'm always the chatty one too.
Right.
And yeah, I went on one date where I just asked this dude like 100 fucking questions to the point where he was like, "You have so many questions." Because I didn't know what else to say, so it was like, "What's your favorite color?"
It's like a stranger, and like this is the first meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so tell me about the so. Was this like Saturday night, Friday night?
This was Thursday night. Thursday night, and then like the night ended. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna go take like a couple Tylenol, and then I'm gonna try to get to sleep." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine." And so I wanted a kiss. Because I don't know. I wanted a kiss.
I get it. Shit, I wanted one.
Man, he was really cute, and I thought I was a little bit tipsy, and I like really wanted a kiss, and like I was really hoping that he would try to kiss me, but it didn't happen. He was just like gave me a hug. He's like, "Well, now you have a friend here in LA," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool." And then like we turn around, but I accidentally left like my my bag of all the stuff that I had from Dollar Shave Club in his car, and he calls me. He's like, "Hey, come get your bag full of stuff," and I'm like, "Oh, all right." And so I do. I run over, go into the window, and then he goes like, "It's like you probably wouldn't want to forget this." And I'm like, "No." And then like he hands me the bag, but then like I grab his wrist.
Oh.
Like
on accident, or were you like trying to be flirty?
I was trying to be flirty, and then like I just looked at him, and then there's a bit of a pause, and then he's like, I don't kiss on a first date, otherwise I wouldn't want to see you again.
Oh.
So...
Okay. I kind of like that. He knows what he wants.
Yeah, but I felt so creepy doing that, and so... I don't know.
Okay, so did you get a text the next day when you woke up?
No. I texted him. Here's the thing, like, before I drove off, I, like, sent him a song that, like, was in my head the entire night that I thought was, like, really pretty, and, like, I was trying to be romantic, and then, like, oh, I think you'd like this song, I think it sounds pretty, and it doesn't remind me of him, because the lyrics are kind of, like, down, but, like, it was pretty, and I thought, like, he was nice, and it was just...
What was the song?
Saw You in a Dream by the Japanese House.
Okay.
It's like
Did he respond to that?
Nope.
He didn't?
No. And then, like, I got home, and then I said, like, hey, I just want to say again, I had a lot of fun tonight getting to know you more. Thanks again for bringing me along. I'd love to do this again sometime. No response, but I saw that he read it, and that was Thursday night. Now, Saturday, I texted him saying, like, hey, how's your weekend going? No response. And then today, last night, I had, like, an episode. I'm like, oh, my God, I probably ruined everything with this guy. He probably, like, fucking thinks I'm a creep and da-da-da-da-da. And why did I do this? Why did I do that? I felt like I talked too much. And
you're self-hating so hard right now.
I did. I really did self-hate a lot, like, last night. And so, like, I wrote, like, a little note. And I'm like, I'm going to text this to him, like, if he doesn't text back the next morning. And so this morning comes along, and I'm like, okay. And so I texted him, hey, I'm not trying to blast up your phone with a bunch of texts, but I feel like I need to apologize. I feel like garbage for holding onto your wrist like that at the end of the night and wanting to kiss. I felt it made you feel uncomfortable, and I'm sorry. I was coming on too strongly, I guess, and I feel like I ruined a good night doing something like that. It's been going through my head all weekend. Anyways, I apologize, and I'd love another chance to hang out again sometime.
Did he respond?
No.
Oh.
And it says delivered, and it doesn't say read.
So he has his read receipts on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I mean, honestly, he's, since he might be busy, who knows, maybe he's, like, making a video, or I don't know what famous YouTubers do, but
Yeah. I hate...
Well, it sounds like a great fucking time, though.
I had
at the very least.
I had an amazing time, and I really want to see him again, and, like, but I'm not getting anything back, and maybe he's busy. He did take a while to, like, respond to me initially, and, like, to the point where, like, that, like, day where he invited me out was, like, the first time he texted me, I think.
Yeah.
So, like...
Honestly, yeah. Maybe you'll get a text out of the blue where he's like, hey, want to go to another party where I'm being sponsored?
I don't even care. I just, like, want, like...
Yeah. You just want to be around him.
Be around, like, talk more, get coffee or, like, something like that. I don't care about the parties or, like, how big he is. And it's hard, too, because, like, I came home and I looked at his, like, fucking subscriber count. 2.9 million subscribers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Jesus Christ. And then, like, I tried to add him on Instagram. He's probably not going to even fucking see it because he's got, like, another, like, 1 million followers on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, so I'll try Twitter. So I tried following him on Twitter. Probably not going to see that either.
Damn. Yeah, that's... Aww.
Nobody writes instruction booklets for this.
Yeah, no, seriously. Nobody does. And that's the worst part. Like, what is after date etiquette? Like, are you supposed to text that night? Are you supposed to wait? Like, what are there aren't rules. What the fuck do we do? And you never know what's going to be, like, on somebody's, like, nope list, and, There
are, like, people who say, like, to give it a couple days, like, that's supposed to be a rule. And, like,
yeah.
I don't want to prescribe to it, but, like, I get a feel of, like, maybe how a situation should be. At the end of the night, I should have asked if I could see him again. Like, I regret that. Like, maybe, like, holding on to some hope that I might see him again.
Well, people, everybody does that. You, like, you're in the date, you're in the moment, and then you leave, and you're like, oh shit, that's what I should have said. Oh,
Yeah,
so
I've
that's
definitely,
not, yeah.
I've definitely been
Oh.
turning that over, and I feel obsessive and like fucking. Hey, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry if I sound like a creep, like obsessing over like this shit.
No, you like somebody. Honestly, every time I like develop a crush on somebody, I'd become low key obsessed with them for a little bit, and that's just kind of the way it is with infatuation. You know, like we can creep on people's social media, and if you like them, you want to look at their damn face. You know.
So that brings us to ghosting. Like when people don't respond to you, it's such a it's a somber topic. It's not a lot of like funny shit that happens. There is, but there isn't. Do you have any like ghosting stories or anything like that?
Actually, yeah, I do. Well, I've been ghosted a few times, and I have ghosted. Boo, I know, but I have
No, it
ghosted people
happens.
before. Well, let me think of a really. Okay, I have this one that's pretty embarrassing where I got ghosted. Uh, so I was working on a project for my school, like a timeline about of the O.J. Simpson murder case and like the socioeconomic repercussions from that, and like everything that happened around that in the 90s. So I was like really diving into my research, and I learned a lot about it. So like in a way, I was kind of like obsessed with the O.J. Simpson case for a bit,
Mm.
because like that's kind of how that's how I work. I have to become like
Yeah,
obsessed with it. Yeah.
yeah. You gotta kind of that like that gets you into the mood.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was really on this O.J. Simpson kick, and I was talking to this guy that I had met a long time ago, but he had like our timing never lined up to where we were both single, so I was always like aware of him, and I knew he would, or I thought he was cute, and vice versa, but it just didn't ever line up. But we just so happened to both be single at this time, and I ran into him at a bar, and we started talking, um, and and so we were just like keeping up like a mild texting, Instagram, Snapchat, like flirtation kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he messaged me one day, like asking me what I was doing, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just researching about the O.J. Simpson case," and then
Like
he
I normally
fucking
do.
never, ever spoke to me
Oh
again.
no!
Like,
Oh god
stopped messaging me. I think he like unfriended us on Snapchat. Like it was like a complete 0 or 100 to 0
damn! Oh
in
no, one
60
of those
seconds.
girls.
Yeah,
Oh
and he was
god.
like, "Nope, you're crazy. Bye." And yeah, that's one of my wonderful ghosting stories. And every time I see him now, because I see him out, I'm like,
Does he
I
go
like try
does he go
not
to
to
your
look at
school?
him. No, no, he's just like a guy in the scene I'm kind
Oh.
of in, you know, like
Yeah, yeah.
go to the same bars.
Hmm.
But yeah, so
Oh god.
yeah.
Don't
So
talk to that chick. She's
sorry.
obsessed with O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, she's crazy
Going
and obsessed
crazy.
with murder in the 90s, and yeah. So that's kind of a funny ghosting story.
Right.
Do you have any other good ones other than your most recent?
Mine are all like somber. It's just like that brings us into like what the effects of like ghosting does to you. Like
Yeah.
what's types of ghosting, like how it affects your mind. It like affects your ego. It affects like the trust that you had in that person. It affects like the emotional value that you hold for yourself. You feel like that person's crushed all those things. Your
Yeah.
self-worth comes into question, and then it leads to like really, really negative thoughts like, man, I probably fucked it up and I wasn't good enough, and like I completely ruined my chances with this dude.
Yeah, like the post-date anxiety.
Mm.
And even like that's what sucks about, I mean, ghosting is awful, absolutely awful. But like I have a feeling, at least, well, I guess one time I ghosted someone because I never wanted to see them again. But that was like literally the only time that I genuinely was like, "Fuck you! I do not like you."
Oh, Barbara, tell us more.
The story is so bad. Okay,
Go for it.
okay. So, okay, it was right when me and my ex-boyfriend broke up. Um, for those listening, I had a boyfriend, an on and off, really turbulent relationship for like 6 years. We had had a really bad breakup, and I was like emotionally devastated. and mad. I was very mad. And so I sound so petty, but okay, I'm just gonna spit it out. This is what I did.
Spit it out.
So,
Spill the tea.
okay, so I do not recommend doing this. Anybody never do this. Okay, and so I was really mad at my ex-boyfriend, right? And so I decided to start having a relationship with his weed dealer.
Oh no!
I know. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I was not attracted to this guy. I was just so mad, and I wanted him to hurt. I wanted him to feel as bad as I felt, so I was like, fuck him. I'm gonna make sure he can't buy weed anymore. And so, karma got me. Karma got me, by the way, guys.
Oh no, how?
Ooh. Okay, so I start seeing this guy, and he was a weed dealer, right? That's what I knew of him, and he lived in this nice apartment in downtown. So he had money. He found out, or I told him that my family is Cajun, kind of like we have those roots. Grew up going to Louisiana, yeah. So he took me to the same fucking Cajun restaurant. I shit you not.
One Cajun restaurant in Oklahoma City?
Yes, and it was awful. It was awful Cajun food. It was straight up trash.
Oh fuck, what is it?
Oh my god, what is it called?
What's it called? I think I know what you're talking about.
It's in Bricktown.
It's on the waterfront.
God, what is that place called? I can't remember.
Is it with a Z?
Oh, so close. It has a... Oh, this is driving me crazy. Oh, it's going to pop in my head in a minute, so I'm going to keep talking.
Hold on, I'm thinking of Zatarans.
Not Zatarans, the seasoning, but...
yeah, I mean, that's what you do to make jambalaya, but
yeah. Oh my god, no. So he kept taking me to this one place that he thought was so good, and I thought it was disgusting. He never asked me if I liked it or asked me where I wanted to go. He would just take me to this fucking place. And, so, yeah. And that was, one sign where I'm like, this guy's not listening to me, or, doesn't... He, thinks he knows what I want, but he never asked me what I wanted, so he doesn't. And I spent some time with this guy, right? After a couple weeks or something, he asked me if I want to go to Colorado with him. And I was like, fuck yeah, why not?
Why not? Sure.
Yeah, I'm like, you're paying for everything, so shit, I'll go on a free vacation. And so I go with him to Colorado, and the night before I'd been up all night working on a project, so I slept the entire drive to Colorado. Boom, 10 hours. But anyways, so yeah, I wake up and we're in Colorado, and I thought he didn't tell me what the vacation was for. I thought it was just I want to go to Colorado. It was not. So he had bought tickets to a concert at Red Rocks, and it turned out to be a motherfucking jam band. Ugh. Which I hate jam bands so much. And so we meet up with his cousin that lives there and his girlfriend, and we go to this place, and so he kept repeatedly asking me if I wanted to do Molly, the drug. And I repeatedly told him, no, I don't want to. I don't even want to be at this fucking concert. I don't want to do Molly with you. I'm good. So he decides to take it upon himself to put Molly in my beer, even though I repeatedly said no.
Come on.
Yeah. And so on top of it, I had a couple of beers before he did that, and so the elevation on top of it, plus we were in Colorado, we were smoking recreational marijuana, and so it just knocked me out. It was not a good. I felt really sick. The cousin's girlfriend had to leave because she started throwing up everywhere. And so, finally the stupid concert is over. Oh, and by the way, it is storming the whole time. So, and the concert kept having to stop, and it was so bad. So we left, and I passed out in the car, and I woke up, and we're at this grow house. It was a legal grow house, definitely, but we were in a grow house, and then I realized that's where we're fucking sleeping tonight. Okay.
Oh, with the plants.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. That is exactly what happened. There were some
greenhouse.
Couches, and we slept on the couches, and it was freezing, and I woke up in the morning, and I was just feeling shitty, And I was awake, but I didn't want them to know I was awake because I didn't want to have to talk to him. So I was just laying there pretending to be asleep while this motherfucking asshole goes, like, in front of my face. He buys $3,000 of marijuana and cocaine to drive back to where we lived 10 hours.
Oh,
yes.
No.
Yes. And he thought I didn't know because I was pretending to be asleep. So later when we left this place and we're driving and I was livid, so mad. And so he kept, he kept telling me this whole time, like, he wants to take me to a vegan restaurant, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm not a fucking vegan, but okay. And so he's, like, driving me to this vegan place, and I'm sitting there seething. And so we pull up and go into this vegan place. He's a jerk. Such a jerk to everybody that works there and everything, making fun of the vegan food and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're the one who wanted to come
So
here.
yeah, you're the one who like took me here. Why are you making fun of everyone here?
Yes, and it was like disgusting the way he was behaving, to like the point where the bartenders and employees were like looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing here with me? And I mean, to be frank, I was wondering the same thing myself, and it was like, I kind of deserve this for intentionally dating my ex-boyfriend's weed dealer to piss him off, but oh my god, this is fucking ridiculous. And so we leave this restaurant, and I, like, just asked them to pack up the food, and I was like, we have to go, just pack up the food. And so we leave, and he was like, do you want me to get a hotel for tonight? And I was like, yes, I want you to get a fucking hotel. Where else are we going to sleep? In the grow house again? And
not again!
Yeah. No. Oh, we got a hotel, so we got a hotel. And he was, like, trying to, like, impress me with saying it was, like, really fancy, but it was, like, a Days Inn or something.
Best Western?
Yeah.
Like a
kept
Motel
being,
6.
Best
he said something.
Oh, my God. It was, like, a literal... Not as bad as a Motel 6, but definitely not, like, fancy. It was no Chateau Marmont. And he said something about, like, yeah, girl, if you roll with me, you're gonna be living the high life. Something like that. And I was just like, oh, okay. And... so we're sitting in this hotel, and I was like, okay, you have two options, by the way, motherfucker. You can either, one, buy me a plane ticket home, or you can leave your goddamn drugs here and drive me home and then come the fuck back and get it. You have 10 minutes to decide. So
yeah.
And so he called his cousin. The next day, he drives, like, an hour out of the way to go give the weed to his cousin, or the drugs to his cousin, and drives me home. And on the way back, I start to come down with strep. So I'm really sick, trapped in this car with this guy I hate, who, no matter what I did, he kept, like, groping me while driving. Like, his hand was on my ass or on my boobs. And at one point, I was, like, straight up curled up in a ball as far away from him as physically possible. Yet he was still trying to grab my ass. I was so mad. So we finally get back. He drops me off.
She's just making it easier.
Yeah. And he drops me off. I come inside. I lock my door. I wait until I get the text message from him saying he's on his way back to Colorado. And then I text him and say, I never fucking want to see you again. And that's the last time I talked to him. He sent me a lot of videos of himself crying. Apparently he called out of work for a week. Also, bear in mind, we had known each other for like a month. He would send me messages that were like varying degrees of like, I fucking hate you, you're the worst person ever, I wish I never met you. And then messages that were like, I love you, I need you, please come back.
Oh god.
And while he was just sending me all of these messages that I hadn't responded to, he sends one telling me that I should quit my job and move in with him, and he'll take care of me forever. And yeah, so that I ghosted him.
He said he didn't work for a week. He said like he couldn't work for a week. What did he do? He was a drug dealer. What do you mean he couldn't work for a week?
Okay, so I left that out. He had a second job where I don't fucking get what this job was. He called himself an imager. Something with the oil industry where he, like, literally just took pictures of old court documents. That was his job.
Oh.
And I don't know. So he didn't go to that job, but I'm sure he still sold his drugs. But, yeah. Oh, he also pointed a gun at me and pulled the trigger and laughed when I was scared.
Oh my god.
Because He was like, it's not loaded.
Are you fucking serious?
Yes. I am fucking serious. Yeah.
Okay, no. So, some people deserve to get ghosted, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that situation, it's not like we had a great date and had a good time, then I just never talked to him again. No, that motherfucker deserves to never be talked to again.
Right.
And, yeah, so...
That's when you cut ties. That's what... Oh, man. Okay, so... I guess you've heard both files of this type of thing and how it affects the mind and the ego. I'm not sure if it affected your self-worth in the same way.
I think it affected his. I'm going to be honest.
I think it affected his more than you.
He didn't seem to feel great.
You were just terrified.
Yeah. I just wanted him gone. He also told me he knew how to break into my apartment. That was another fun one he sent me.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so... Whew, yeah, some people ghost them. Whatever, but don't block them so you can get the crazy messages so you know what the hell is going to happen to you. Not ideal. My dating history is sad, you guys.
World's worst ghost story. Yeah. Okay. Wow, I wasn't expecting that with my,
that's the prize.
Somber, I hope he texts me back sometime with this, I fucking hope I never hear from him ever again type of story.
I know, it was so bad. And after I,
Did you feel bad for ghosting him? I think, at first you were oh man, I know it's, really shitty for me to, ghost him, but I ghosted him. And I'm like, no, what?
I felt more bad about the fact that I put myself in that situation, and I didn't go into that having good intentions or anything, and honestly, I kind of got what I deserved. So, people, don't do things out of spite. Never date someone out of spite. They'll try to kill you.
I feel like that's a topic for a completely different episode here.
I know. Oh god, yeah, that was a pretty bad one.
Oh god. Okay. So, God, I don't even fucking know how to move on from this. So basically, okay. So I have some points here that I pulled from online. Just some tips. So one says you can't love someone you don't know. I have no idea why I pulled that because that's kind of obvious, but if it's the first date, I guess
no, I feel like that's impactful.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I don't know. I was just pulling some stuff that I thought meant stuff to me at the time because I just want him to text me back, please. No, I don't want to sound desperate. That's the thing too. You're put in a position where you're you want it to work. You really want it to work, and you really want to text him back, and you try oh, maybe he's waiting for me to text him back, and that kind of seems obsessive, and I don't want to be obsessive. I just want
no, I think
work.
Ghosting really does put you in a place where you because you don't really know what happens. You're what's wrong with me? And
right.
Most of the time, I feel like what you said, you can't love somebody you don't know. I think that is more impactful when you really think about it in the context of ghosting, because you kind of, it just makes you obsessed with people. It's weird. All of a sudden you want them so bad.
Yeah, and suddenly you're tracking their every movement. And
yeah, you track them. You think about you build an imaginary them in your brain where you're oh, this is my manic pixie dream girl or guy. Have you heard that phrase before, or that term?
I've heard it. I don't know what it is.
Okay, so it's it's usually or centered around women, but I honestly think it can work for any male, female, non-binary, anything. It's a person or an archetype that is the perfect, we'll go with the girl still, it's your dream girl, right? But
right.
Their only purpose in your life at all is to make you better and your life better. They serve your purposes, and you're not really in it for the relationship. You're in it for the imaginary perfect person and how perfect they can make you, kind of thing. And
yeah.
I feel at least I know for a fact I make imaginary manic pixie dream guys in my head all the time. Like,
yeah,
I'll
I do
bump
that
into
too.
a cute guy and be like, "You're perfect for me. You would make me so cool."
Right.
And, yeah, I think ghosting just really makes that fester, and
That makes sense. I guess that's kind of that's like the feeling that I have right now with this guy. I also have it written here. It says, no matter how much you want it to work, they aren't taking the steps to make it work. In the end, you're wasting your time obsessing over why they just cut contact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of straight to the point.
Yeah.
And then a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt.
Oh! Yes.
She says, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Firstly, amazing Eleanor Roosevelt impersonation.
Thank you. I tried.
Yes.
I'm very talented.
You are. And secondly, that's pretty fucking true. Like, you kind of, you go into like shame spirals and stuff after like a bad date or something like that. And I really think that's like, or at least for me, I end up like, whenever that happens, I've allowed myself to overthink it and to obsess and to spiral and to do all of that. And so that really is consenting to shame and sadness, even though it's a human thing. It's so hard not to do it.
It's
it
very
feels like
hard.
Rejection. Yeah.
It's so easy to like stay on the outside and be like, why are you so obsessing over like this person that you just met? Because like logically that makes sense. Like why would you? Oh jeez. Like logically that like makes sense, but once you get into it, like once like your emotions come into play, it's just really hard to kind of pull yourself out of that.
What was it? That also makes me think about, doing nothing is still doing something,
Mm-hmm.
Like, not responding, not texting back, not doing whatever is, like, still sending a message. Like, I actually had a therapist tell me that once, because I had a breakup, and I was, like, I was, like, obsessed with him after we broke up, because I don't know why, I just, like, couldn't let it go.
Right.
And I was talking to her about, like, yeah, he hasn't responded to this or whatever, and she was like, or he's doing nothing about it, and her response was, yes, he is. He's leaving you alone. Like, that's, if he wanted to be, he would message you, like, he just, it's not gonna happen, girl, you gotta move on, is what she said to me, and it sucked, and I did not want to hear it, and...
You never do.
No. But in hindsight, that was true. She was right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and he and I never got back together.
Well, that's good. And that leads us to our tips. So what are our tips on ghosting? I got like a giant list here. Do you want me to read them off?
Yeah.
Okay, so number 1, how to deal with being ghosted. This is from my mind, which I made up just on the spot. No, this is from a website I pulled this from, but these are just topic points. So, like, it says call them out on their crappy attitude, but should you really? Because that's just going to cause more problems.
It depends on, like, the level of ghosting. Like, if it's
Right.
your boyfriend or lover of, like, a year, and they're ghosting you, call them out, But if it's, like, a Tinder person that you've never really met, and they're ghosting you,
No, there's no need to, like, really explode about that if, like, it's just some stranger you met, like, on Tinder or something like that. So that's very up in the air for me. If it's, like, a friendship, like, yeah, I would...
Yes.
Or, like,
yeah.
some really long relationship and be like, hey, this ain't cool. Why the fuck are you doing this? And this is why I don't want to talk to you anymore. Number 2 is don't say anything more than you need to.
Don't say anything more than you need to?
Yeah, don't prolong the conversation. Just say what you need to say, how you feel about this rejection, for instance, and that you hope they don't do it to anyone else. So basically, kind of like a last thing, like, okay, I see what's going on here. You're not responding, and so I'm just going to leave you with this, and I hope that you don't do this to anybody else, and I hope you find happiness. And then you just... You fly away after that.
Honestly, that's pretty good advice,
Yeah.
Like, if you have to say something, and sometimes you do, it's driving you so crazy that you have to say something, say it, but don't, monologue, don't, like, tear them to shreds.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to keep it short,
that's pretty
sweet.
good advice.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't sugarcoat the truth. They did not call back. They did not like you enough to call back. This is a clear and direct rejection. Thinking it's something else only gives you false hope. Which is hard to hear.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, that hits
Man.
me. Yeah.
Also, don't make excuses. Don't dissect what you did wrong.
Yes. Yes.
I would never do that.
We all do.
We all do that, honestly, but that's really hard not to, because it's just like, oh fuck, something wrong happened. I need to go back and like follow the strings so that I can maybe rectify this. But I don't know, some things can't be rectified. Focus on yourself. Focus on like what's going to make you happy in the long run. Is overly obsessing over this one person really going to bring you happiness? Like, is the end goal really worth it? What is the end goal? What is the end goal anyways?
Yeah, that's it. Like, in some situations when you get ghosted and you're like obsessed with it, is your end goal to be with that person? Because at that point, they've caused you so much agony in a way, but it's like,
Yeah.
Can you have a good relationship when you come from, like, you started it with, like, pain and anger and stress, you know?
Like, would it be even worth it after all the stuff because that's happened, it could happen again.
Yeah.
So, like, that's trust that's just been, like,
Decimated
from the start. Focus on other stuff as well. The only way to stop thinking about something inconsequential is to think about something that's worth your time and brain cells.
That's easy to say. Hard
Easy
to do.
to say.
Yeah.
Definitely. I had like a shit ton of work that I had to get done yesterday, and I could not do it just because I was just obsessing over
Like agonizing
over if I had done something wrong. Man, it's hard to get over. Delete this person from your life. Numbers, social media accounts, text messages, delete them all. It won't make you forget, but it gives you a sense of freedom and control. Let me tell you, I don't know how to do that with a guy who has 2.9 million subscribers and is like a huge person on YouTube.
Yeah, that's a unique situation.
Because he's not even a jerk. I wouldn't want to get rid of him for my life, but like for my own sake, for my own happiness, if he's going to leave it at like, I'm never going to talk to you again. Fuck, what do you do?
Honestly, nothing. I feel like you should do nothing, you know?
I feel like I shouldn't do anything. He hasn't done anything wrong to me. Maybe it was just like, maybe it just didn't work out. Maybe he just wasn't into me. Maybe he just wanted to be friends. And like, he's a person who probably has a bunch of friends. And yeah.
You're self-hating again. I hate this.
I'm self-hating. I can't help it. Fuck. Find a way to move on that works for you.
Yeah. What are your like moving on things? Like, how do you move on from being ghosted and stuff like this?
I'm still figuring that out, Mary.
I understand.
I nail myself in a coffin and then I bury myself. I listen to a lot of MCR.
Yeah, right.
My Chemical Romance.
Oh, I went to a bar last night that was doing emo night, and they only played My Chemical Romance.
What a night!
Yeah, it was so much fun.
That's fun.
I'm trying to think of the way I get past being ghosted, and honestly, I guess I don't have really healthy ways to do it. I definitely isolated myself a little bit and been like, well, fine, then I'll just date nobody.
Right! That's what you do!
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, I guess I'm just not worth it for anybody, and that's not good. But like, how do you not do that?
I know, and it just eats your self-confidence to where you feel like, well, this person didn't think I was cool, so nobody will, and in reality, like, that's not true. Maybe, like, if you really had enough time with this person, you wouldn't have thought they were cool. They ghosted you. They're not cool, you know?
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. You get to a point where you're fake, like, moving on, and you're posting all this shit on social media so that he'll see that, like, you're moving on, and then, like, maybe he'll, like, come back and be like, oh, well, okay.
Oh my god, I feel like there's always, at least I know I do this, there's always a very calculated, super hot selfie, one post after like a situation like that, like a breakup or ghosting. I know for a fact, I spent like an hour doing my makeup and hair after my like big breakup, and I did a selfie session. And I took like 100 selfies, tore myself apart deciding which one, thought for like 45 minutes about what the caption should be, and yeah. And then I felt really happy with my likes, and that really brought me no real happiness or moving on, but, you know, it was a good superficial way to try.
Just naturally me, just me being natural
Woke up
beauty.
like this.
Woke up like this. Look what you're missing. Whoever you are, I forgot about you.
Really? I even bared some cleavage in that. And I also got boobs, bitch!
No! Look at all this. Look at these
so
titties you're missing out.
Yeah.
No more titties for you. Man.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jeez. Do you have any other tips? Because I'm about to go on to the what stories that I could find.
Let's think. My other tip would be spend more time with friends. The more you are obsessing about this one person, go to the people that do like you, that you know, that you trust, and spend time with them.
Find the positives in like your life. Find like the people that care about you like dearly, that would not do this to you.
Yeah. And the people that see your worth and make you feel worthy of the love that you are worthy of, you know?
And in a way that'll like help you find your own like inner worth. Like that's important too. You need to figure out a way to be like, okay, I love myself. I don't need other people to love me in order for me to love myself.
Yes, exactly. Even though that is so hard to do.
It is incredibly hard. It literally takes a lifetime to do. Everyone who says that they've already achieved it is bullshitting themselves, because everyone goes through that like moment where like, oh, fuck, I feel horrible about myself today. Like nobody is that positive. Like I highly doubt anybody is that positive.
Exactly. And feeling worthless is, it just eats you away. Like I feel like whenever that emotion gets into you, it's so hard to be rid of, and you have to spend, like you said, your whole life fighting against it and like trying to realize your inner badass and all of that. And I would love to give good tips on that, but I don't have any. I'm working on it.
Yeah, we're both still working on it here.
Yeah, definitely.
So now it comes to the part where we go on to the ghosting stories, which I cleverly named ghost stories, but they're not really that good. They're more like kind of somber, and they're very short.
See, I have a good one that's really quick, if you want me to say that really quick.
Yeah, go for it while I find mine.
Okay, so this one is... Here we go. Okay, so this girl at Queen Ozymandias, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it says, met a guy on OkCupid for casual regular sex while I lived in New York. For a few months, or after a few months, the condom broke. We went to get Plan B. It was all good. Then he said he went to his sister's place for a second and then left his apartment and didn't come back. He texted her 3 weeks later to check up and see if she was pregnant, then made plans to meet up with her, and then didn't show up.
Oh, no.
Yes.
What the hell?
I know. Isn't that awful?
Thank God I'm out of this situation. Bye.
Yeah. So glad I didn't knock you up. Peace. Yeah. Jeez. I know.
I got a random one. Okay, this is from Reddit. And they say, I ghosted my boyfriend of 5 years.
Oh. Dark.
I came over to his house one morning to surprise him with breakfast and a video game he wanted, only to find him naked, asleep, and with his ex curled up in his arms.
No! Oh! I would lose it! Oh, no.
Oh, happy birthday.
For real. That's cruel.
He didn't hear me come in, so I closed his bedroom door and left his breakfast and game on the kitchen counter along with my key to his house. I went to my car, deactivated my Facebook, and blocked him on all other forms of social media. I then called my phone provider and changed my number before driving off. I texted family members and close friends that we were no longer together and to block him on social media as well. I didn't tell them why. I was in a position to end the lease at my apartment early, and I started a new job in a different city later that week. I completely removed myself from him and didn't offer a shred of explanation or opportunity for dialogue. I disappeared from his life after his betrayal, and I think it'll not only help me focus on myself without his presence, but I think completely shutting myself off from him will hurt worse than anything when he thinks on how good he had it with me for the last 5 years.
Wow. Damn.
Whoa.
What grace that woman handled, or man, whoever that was.
Yeah, like having that like calm, collected, like knowing what to do in the situation.
Yeah. I would not have reacted like that. I applaud that. I wish
I would have been violent. I would have yelled.
Yeah, I would have thrown stuff. I would have screamed. I probably would have cried. And then, yeah, I would have made that situation bad, and that woman made that situation better. Good for her. I applaud you. Oh my god, that's...
Putting applause here again.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you got one?
Oh, yes, I do. This one's not as sad.
Okay.
So this is from Twitter handle at Kara Lynn. A million years ago in my early 20s, I dated a guy for the summer. He said he wanted to move to Minneapolis, so he signed a lease with me and roommates, moved his stuff in, and said he was going to Madison for the weekend, and I never heard from or saw him again.
What?
I know.
What?
Yeah, why sign a lease? Like,
what
happened in Madison? Do you think he died? Like... He met somebody and was like, "You're the one. Fuck that other girl."
Ah, shit, I used my legal name. God damn it.
I'll fake my death.
God, get it out of the country. What? I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, that's
these
next
stories
level.
are like, these stories have like no reasoning behind them.
No, they make no sense.
They make no sense.
That's what's so maddening about it, because it's just so random and bizarre, and you're like, what happened?
Let me see if I can find one. The ghost who left a 16-year marriage.
Whoa.
After being with my husband of 16 years, I thought we had a solid relationship. One Saturday, he decided to go visit with a couple of friends for a few hours. Since we only had one car, I drove him over. During the drive, we discussed doing swimming later that day. After dropping him off, I went shopping for a bathing suit for him, made a couple of other stops, and then went home to wait for his call. It never came.
Oh
I couldn't find him. He wouldn't answer his phone. He disappeared. After a week of not knowing where he was, I finally got a call through by tricking him into thinking I was someone else calling. This all happened 2 years ago. We never actually sat down and discussed our relationship, and he never officially told me he was leaving or why. Meanwhile, I moved to Florida from Pennsylvania to start over, and honestly, my life hasn't been better than ever. What?
That's
Now's
insane.
my chance. Now's my chance. Oh my... Fucking a marriage, though.
Yeah, that's just beyond cruel, honestly, to, like, end a marriage like that by just vanishing on them. Like,
maybe he didn't want to do... Maybe he didn't want to do the whole, like, divorce shit, and, like, he just wanted... all of his property. He didn't want to like split it up or some shit like that, which that's still pretty shitty.
Yikes. That's all I have to say.
Oh, I got one. Okay. This is by Sassmaster. Freshman year of college, I met a guy at a party who was really sweet and lived about an hour north of my college town. We started hanging out and having a great time. Winter break, I was staying with a friend up near his house. We went out one night on our normal date, had a blast, and made plans to get lunch the next day. He said he'd pick me up at noon. Next day rolls around, and I call him to make sure he's coming. Nothing. Texted him. Nothing. He never responded. I was extremely pissed off since we had been dating a few months and everything was fine. He deleted me off Facebook and everything, so I gave up. 4 months later, he texted me out of the blue saying he's sorry he ghosted on me, but his mom died that day and we were supposed to get lunch. I felt felt really bad, so I gave him another chance. Turns out, his mom never died.
Oh my God!
He just made that up as an excuse. I never talked to him again after I found out.
What the fuck? Oh my God, that's crazy!
Good to have this as a backup.
Yes, like what the fuck? Why wouldn't you think someone you're dating would find out your mom hadn't died? Like, and why is that your go-to excuse?
Never a good idea.
No, that's... Ugh.
Especially in this day and age.
I've got one quick one I can tell real fast.
Okay,
so this is at Twitter handle Helen. So I asked my boyfriend of 8 months to come to my abortion, and he went to a strip club midday and vined the entire thing, never answered another one of my phone calls or texts.
What?
Yeah!
What?
That's evil! Like, what the fuck? Who goes to the strip club when your girlfriend's having a fucking abortion? Like...
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Good thing it's not fucking married. Oh, wow. What a character.
What a keeper.
What a keeper. These types of people, though, are like cowards and like fucking like people who don't want to like deal with the repercussions of telling people their real feelings. And I think that's important. You need to be able to be like transparent with your partner.
Yes. And that's like a really toxic mindset to think that like you telling someone that you're not that into them or like whatever is going to emotionally devastate them, and it's going to be so bad that it's easier for you to just vanish. Like, just people vanish. Can move on. Just tell them, you know?
Now, real quick, what about the people who, like, try to message you on, like, a dating app or something like that, and, like, you don't respond? Is that, like, considered ghosting? Because I get that a lot on Grindr.
I wouldn't call that ghosting. I do that a lot, but sometimes, like, you get a lot of matches and it's overwhelming, and then you, like, I always pick, like, a top 3 out of my, like, batch of matches that I actually, like, continue on a conversation with. You can't, at least I can't keep up a conversation with 20 different people at one time. Like, I just can't fucking do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. But,
like, one at a time here.
I can see how that's really annoying, though. You see a lot of people with the bios that are like, if you're not going to respond, swipe left. And I get that. I do. I wouldn't call it ghosting.
All right. Well, I think that's all that I have about ghosting. What about you?
Oh, man, I think I have, like, a personal story I can tell really fast.
Do it. Yeah, more personal stories, please.
Okay, I actually have 2 personal stories. One was a bad
Slap
date.
Slap my ass with those stories.
All right, well, we'll start with the most recent one. This was actually the last date I went on.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, and I haven't been on a date since this, and it's been months. It was bad.
Oh,
so
no.
I matched with this guy on Tinder. He was like 36 or whatever, so he's a bit older than me. And in my head, I was like, he's older, he knows what he wants, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, I think, like, sometimes people are single for a reason, you know?
Right.
And, so yeah, I go and meet up with this guy, we go to a bar, and I get there and he had a drink waiting for me, which was sweet, and we talked for a little bit, and, our conversation was going really well. But in the time that I got there, I'd been there for like 30 minutes, and he had already drank 3 vodka sodas while I was watching.
Fuck.
Yeah. And
fuck.
Yeah, he was like pounding drinks. And so in my head, I was like, I'll try to keep up with him, which, don't do that, people. Don't do that.
I'll impress him too.
And so basically he and I are both wasted at this bar, right? And it's time to go, because, like, I wasn't planning on staying till close, but, like, once you're in, like, a drunk haze, you're just kind of, like, out of it, and so we leave the bar, and, I was, like, talking about, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna call my Uber, or whatever, to get home. He was like, no, I'll take you home, and, oh, this is so bad, and I agreed.
No!
But before that happened, we fucking made out on his car outside of this bar for like 45 fucking minutes. And there were...
Oh, it's like an 80s metal video.
Only horrifying. All of these people saw. Awesome, sure me. Yeah, and we made out against his car for forever. And then he took me home, and we made out in his car in my driveway for like an hour, and he kept trying to like come into my house. And, you know, in all honesty, this is gross. I had kind of a health problem for a little while where at this time I had, it's gross, I had a cyst on my chest, but
no,
I had
everybody has them.
Yeah. And, oh yeah, you remember, you've seen it. And
yeah.
It would like bleed. It's so gross. And so I didn't want to take off my shirt and have this like bloody cyst. And so
that gets you going?
Yeah. So I was like, no, you're not coming in.
We all know all hookups involve blood.
Yeah. I was like, this will end up with a lot of blood. No. And so, but I kept making out with him for some reason. And so at one point we're making out, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave. And he grabs my hand, and somehow I didn't notice him doing this, but he had removed his fucking pants.
What the hell? How? With one hand?
No! And he had just put my hand on his rather large, erect penis while he was wearing a shirt in the car, but his pants were like at his ankles. And
oh god, no.
I was so shocked that I just got out of the car and I left my glasses in his car. And I texted him the next day and was like, yeah, I left my glasses in your car. And then he came and dropped them off and put them in my mailbox and said the deed is done. And I said, thank you so much, and thanks for the night. I don't even think I said nice night. I just said night. And we never spoke ever again.
Oh god.
So I guess that was kind of a mutual ghost, because I wasn't trying, but yeah.
Or like something you want to forget.
Yeah, that's something I think about, and I'm like, what the fuck? You're not mature enough to be dating, clearly, young ladies. So yeah, that's one story. And then my second personal story I have, where I ghosted him. The more I tell these stories, I'm like, God, girl, you gotta stop ghosting people.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. I do it all the time.
I know. Which I'm like talking shit about it, and I'm like, so I ghosted this guy. And this one's pretty bad. Okay, I was 19, and I was working in this restaurant, and I had a crush on a guy that I worked with, and I suppose I've always kind of had a thing for guys that are a bit older than me, because this guy was like 27, I was 19, and we would like all go out to the bars together, and I would sneak into these bars underage with everybody, and he would always like help me get home at the end, and I would always like flirt with him and be like, you want to come inside and get coffee or something? And his response was his response was always, no, it's too late for coffee. And I'm like, you idiot. So
what are you talking about? It's like midnight.
Yeah, that was exactly. And you'd be like, no, I'm good. I was just gonna go home and go to bed. And so I don't even remember how. I think I just straight up one time was like, I'm into you or something, because then we started a relationship where we were like having sex, and like I can't remember, I think we went on a few dates, but it was mostly like a pretty sexual relationship. And I don't know what happened. Just like one day I blinked and looked at him and was just kind of like, this relationship is going nowhere. Maybe we shouldn't be doing. And this is the bad part, he really liked me too. And honestly, I really liked him too. And he even said something to me about like, I don't want this to just be hooking up, I want this to turn into something or whatever. And I ghosted him, and I worked with him too.
Oh no! Oh god!
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I don't know how the fuck I just like wouldn't respond to his messages or anything, but I would still like see him at work and talk to him. And then one day at work, he was like, came up to me in the parking lot and was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't understand what you're doing. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not ready for a relationship and blah, blah, blah. And I got stressed out, and didn't know how to tell you, so I guess I just didn't, and I'm sorry. And then he was like, look, I'm not mad that it didn't work out. I'm mad that you didn't say anything. And I was like, I get that, and I'm really sorry. And then we stopped talking. Actually, we became friends instead. And then, yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. But that's kind of a light ghosting, but still, I ghosted him for a while, even though I worked with him.
Man, you do this a lot, don't you?
I'm starting to realize I have some intimacy issues that I really need to work through.
We're all working on it, and it's something that's like kind of a new thing, kind of something that we're just like we're scared of confronting people and being like, hey, this ain't gonna work, bye. Yeah. Even though like that sounds easy, but like it's not easy.
It should be. That's the sad thing.
It really should be.
Yeah.
Right?
I should be able to look at people and tell them, like, I'm sorry, it's just not, I'm not into it. But for some reason, the words get caught in my throat, and I can't do it.
No, it's never easy.
Yeah.
I guess just as we mature, it just gets better. So, like, to end things off, ghosting, it's going to happen. There's just steps you got to take. You got to be able to be, like, I don't know, focus on you more than really like focus on like something working out, even though like you really want it to work out. What's more important is you at the end of the day, yeah. I would say. I guess I'm going through this right now. I have like hopes that's maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, maybe the next day, maybe he'll out of the blue want to do something with me. But like, that's not healthy to just like play Rapunzel in a fucking tower just waiting for somebody to come get you.
As a serial ghoster, unfortunately, I guess I am. I have to say, I feel like a lot of ghosting comes from, like, a personal place. I think, like, for me, I panic, I stress myself out, and I don't even know how I feel about it. And so I don't do anything, which, as I've been told by multiple people, not doing anything is still doing something.
Right.
And so I guess I would say try not to take it personally, even though it's so hard to not, because I know some of the times I've ghosted people, it was definitely 100% about me and not at all about them. I told you my one story where it was 100% about them, but...
That was the only time, and that was for good reason.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I still can't believe that. Okay. Let's go into our final horror stories. Do you have a really good, juicy one?
Oh, man, I should have saved the one I told at the top for now. Damn it. Okay. Okay, you go and let me think.
I actually, well, if you can't find one, I actually have two things. I got a final ghost story, and then I have a lightning round.
Ooh, okay.
Where I have like a bunch of little tiny ones, and then I get your reaction.
Okay.
So, this one is from Spot Jack. He says, he used pictures that were from his early 20s, where he looked a lot more attractive and a lot more athletic. He is borderline obese. He's 28. The pictures were from age 20 to 21. During our supper, he was drinking beer like water. He confessed that he was separated from his wife, and she left him and took their 3 children with her. Turns out he's bipolar and refuses to take medication, and also tends to get very angry.
Oh, God.
His wife left because he was a danger to her and her children. There were a million red flags going off for me, but I decided to be nice and stick it out. After food, we go for a drive in my car. We both smoke reefer, so I offered him some of my reefer. We both smoke reefer?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Okay.
Reefer madness.
We both smoked a weed.
We took
so
pot.
I offered him some of a pot. Usually when I offer a pot, I expect 1 or 2 puffs of pot to be taken. He smoked everything in my full grinder.
Oh, no. What an ass. Oh, my God.
Enough to last me at least over a week. And didn't offer me any of my own shit.
What the fuck?
Then he opens my pop that I had in my cup holder without asking, and he drank it all.
What?
And I hadn't even opened it.
Oh, what an asshole.
At this point, I'm visibly annoyed. I start driving back to his place, but he wants to play some music. Okay, one last chance.
Oh no.
On the way, he puts on Simple Plan and uses his phone as a microphone and sings at the top of his lungs right by my head.
On a date. Oh my god.
I start laughing because I honestly couldn't believe what was happening. I got to his place and didn't say anything. He tried to kiss me before we got out, but I put my hand up and blocked it.
Smart.
He got really upset and started trying to make me explain myself. I told him to get out of my fucking car and go home. He literally tried chasing my car as I left.
What?
I drove around for an hour after that to make sure he wasn't following me.
Oh my god. Oh my god. What a nightmare.
I went to my sister's place, and it turns out she knew exactly who I was talking about, and she laughed at me.
What?
Apparently, the whole damn town knows who he is and how crazy he is. Luckily, I don't live there anymore, and he stopped trying to contact me after a week.
A week?
A week full of this.
Oh my god.
A week full of him calling, singing Simple Plan lyrics. I'd do anything just to hold you in my arms. How could this happen to me?
Oh my god. How would you react to that?
I don't know.
Me either.
Fuck me. Luckily, I don't... Okay, so I don't think I had anything to worry about regarding my safety, but this is by far the worst Tinder date I've ever had.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's like a straight nightmare, actually. Ugh.
Jeez.
I've actually had a person that I've smoked pot with before do something similar where I handed them my joint or pipe and then never got it back, and they just smoked the whole thing and was like, I don't even know what to say. Like, you puff pass, bitch. What are you doing?
You smoked me like 40 of my $40.
Yeah, like, are you
smoking a shit ton of
planning
money
to pay
here
for that? Or like,
Jesus.
yeah. Oh my god. Yeesh.
Okay. Do you want to tell a story, or do you want me to do a lightning round?
Okay, I think I've got one.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So, there's a guy I was seeing for a little while. When I first met him, he told me that he was coming out of a relationship. He had been with somebody for like 7 or 8 months or whatever, and she moved to another state, and so they decided it wasn't going to work out. Long distance was too hard, whatever. So I didn't really think anything about it, and we start dating, and I was actually really, really into this guy, and so a couple months pass, and he actually one night, he, I didn't really think we were serious, but it was around Valentine's Day time, and he'd always FaceTime me a lot, and so he was FaceTiming me, and was like, so, what are you doing for Valentine's Day? And I was like, I don't know. And,
nothing.
Yeah, nothing, literally nothing, and, so he was like, well, I got you something, and I want to spend Valentine's Day with you, and I don't know, I'm nervous because I'm scared it's too romantic or whatever, and so I was like, oh, okay, like, I didn't realize he wanted to be serious, and so Valentine's Day comes around. He shows up at my fucking house at 11:30, right, p.m., and...
what? What?
Yeah, so I'm, like, expecting, at this point, I'm expecting a straight-up gift. And so he gets here, and he has, like, a backpack, and so we're just, like, sitting in my quote-unquote office and talking for a while, and then he was like, you ready for your gift? And I was like, yes! And he pulls out a fucking cheap bottle of whiskey. And that was it. Like, he didn't even bring a mixer, and that was fucking it. And I was so mad.
I know how to treat you, girl. Oh my god. Oh, fuck. What the hell?
I was so pissed, and I'm like, you set yourself up for this, because if you didn't if you had just called me and been like, hey, want to hang out, and then surprised me with a bottle of whiskey, I probably wouldn't have been pissed. But the fact that you were like, want to spend Valentine's together?
Right.
Yeah. And, so a couple months go by, and that, sadly wasn't the last straw for me, and we kept seeing each other. And so one night he, has the, you want to get serious talk with me, and he was like, I think we could have, a really good relationship if we both put in the effort.
This time I have 2 bottles of whiskey.
Really. And this time I brought Coca-Cola, too.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. He basically, told me he wanted to get serious and to, put effort into it and, try and, all of this and go on real dates and whatnot. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'm willing to try that. And so he spends the night that night and leaves the next day, and I don't hear from him for a couple of days. And I thought it was kind of weird, because he was normally, he tried really hard to contact me and stuff. He would call me until I answered, and I don't know why I found it endearing at the time. I don't know why I was so into this guy, but I was. Does that ever happen to you, where you're just into somebody for no fucking reason? And you're like, you can treat me however, I like you.
No.
Well, that's good. Because I definitely let this...
No, that's weird.
Yeah,
No, I've heard people, do that, of course.
Yeah, I was just, enamored with him for no reason. And so, a couple of days go by, and we start talking again. He comes over to my house, and something happened, and he left his, laptop and all of his stuff. He said he had to go somewhere, and he'd be right back. And then he calls me whenever he's out and asked me to open up his laptop, go through his pictures, and find the specific picture and send it to him. So I was like, okay. And yeah, so I'm going through his pictures like he told me to. And there were a sea of nudes. And not from me, and recent, time-stamped practically. There were a lot of pictures of him FaceTiming with this girl who I later found out was 19. This guy was 27. And
fuck me.
Yeah. And they were so they were FaceTime videos, right? Where he screenshotted whenever she would lift her shirt up or something like that. And then there was just some, straight up nudes that she sent to him via Snapchat and all of that he had screenshot. And so I'm, looking through this, and I'm pissed off. And so I just send him his picture, I close his laptop, and then I wait. And then he comes back from wherever the fuck he was, and he's being, so affectionate with me, kissing me, and, petting my hair and stuff. And I'm just sitting there, so angry I couldn't even move.
Fuck!
Yeah, and then after a couple of, minutes of him, trying to, kiss me, I just, pushed him back and said, get the fuck out of my apartment right now. And he stared at me for a little while, shocked, and I was like, you fucking heard me, get the fuck out of my apartment right now.
Did he just, not know?
I feel like he didn't know. Okay, I've said something...
That's so weird.
Yeah, my therapist actually was like, I think he did that because you were letting him treat you not well this whole time, and so he thought he could get away with it. He thought he could do that, and you wouldn't. And I don't know if that was the case, but yeah, I told him to get out of my apartment, and I never texted him again. But he consistently, he moved to a different state not too long after that, and, he'll, consistently just, text me every time he's in town and be like, hey, you want to hang up? And or hang out, and I never respond. And so, yeah, that's one of my other ghosting stories.
One out of 1,000.
Yeah. There was that.
Oh, man. Well, that's not a bad... You've got good reasons to do these things, though.
I guess.
Jesus Christ.
Not to...
Okay,
Yeah.
You ready for the lightning round?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I want to start this thing where I find little tiny snippets from online postings of where's states or where's ghost story stuff, where people post only one sentence, and I'm going to read them, and I want a one-word reaction from you. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. I literally had a guy lean in to kiss me, and he shit his pants. He was like, it feels really warm in my underwear for some reason. Then I could smell what seemed to be a baby diaper. He ran into the bathroom and said he'd be free-balling the rest of the night.
Disgusting. He shit his pants when she kissed him?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But he's just like coolly, calmly collected, be like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna freeball for the rest of the night.
What composure.
Alright. Okay. Went back to his place, presumably for sex, and the pillowcases were stained with blood. Place was filled with empty beer cans. I kid you not, 4 rusty hair-filled razors in the shower.
Ugh.
All were his. He lived alone. The sink was coated with hair and toothpaste. I was so disturbed. Then he told me he had a suspended license and a kid he never met, and I hightailed it home.
Disaster. Oh my god.
What a dreamboat.
Yeah. Is he still single?
Okay. Fucking the pillowcases stained with blood gets me.
Where'd that come from? Yeah.
I have no idea. Once upon a time, I went out with a guy who got wine drunk at an Olive Garden, and then in a drunk rage punched the windshield out of my car when I offered to drive him home because he was belligerent.
Oh my god. Danger?
It's just a fucking imagine, like, hey man, you don't seem too good. Can I drive you home? I'm fucking you.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Glass shatters.
I hope she made him pay for that. Oh my god.
What the fuck, man? Like, I like how they wine drunk at Olive Garden. Like, that's a verb. Like, I got Olive Garden drunk.
Yep, been there. It's like Applebee's drunk is a level lower.
Applebee's drunk. There are levels there.
Yeah.
I need to learn from you. Okay. Jeez, with that being said, do we have anything else to say?
Whew, ghosting is bad. I'll make a pact to work on it. I'll say it now.
From now on, I won't not respond to people ever again. If you're listening, no, I don't want to sound creepy. Fuck, man.
You're listening. Tell them what happened.
What did I do wrong? No, for real, you're your own person. It's cool. And on that note, this has been You Don't Look Like Your Picture. Final thoughts on ghosting. It happens. It's going to happen, and it'll always happen. You just got to be prepared for it, and just got to focus on you. Some people are still trying to figure themselves out. Holly, what do you think?
Yeah, and try not to take things personally. Try to love yourself. It's okay if you don't think you're at your best spot yet, you know? Everyone's a work in progress, so if ghosting hurts you, or if you're a ghoster, it sucks, but it's okay, and we're all trying to be better, I guess.
We're all trying to do better. Good. Very good. Everyone's taking notes here. All right, and on that note, I'm Coda White.
And I'm Holly Lowe.
And this has been You Don't Look Like Your Picture. And remember, it's not a date unless there's bloodstains on the fucking pillowcase.
Yes!
Oh. Goodbye, everybody.